If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Oh, yeah, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, November 13th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today, the high 51. Tonight and overnight clear, low 39, and then Friday mostly cloudy, high 50 if you are walking out the door with us right now. 40 clear, Muncie up in Rockland County. It's 45 and clear in Asbury Park over in New Jersey, and it's 42 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
The government shutdown is finally over. Mayor Adams has some advice for Mayor Mamdani. Will Police Commissioner Tisch stay on? The search is on for a serial spitter in Brooklyn, and a Long Island woman had no idea she was up for election. That's a weird freaking story. All right, we'll get into that in just a moment. But the first 501, let's start with the government shutdown. It is now officially over.
This was a no-brainer. This was an easy extension. But they didn't want to do it the easy way. They had to do it the hard way. And they look very bad, the Democrats do.
President Trump signing legislation in the Oval Office last night where he blamed Democrats for the shutdown while he was surrounded by Republican lawmakers, other GOP officials. Democrats refused to pass the legislation for over 40 days, saying it had to contain legislation that extended the Obamacare tax credits, which are set to expire. The Senate Democrats who eventually signed on to the bill were given a promise from Senate Majority Leader John Thune that extensions of the benefits would eventually go up for a vote. So the vote in the lower chamber yesterday was 222 to 209, 6 Democrats joining, all but 2 Republicans to support the measure.
So I just want to tell the American people you should not forget this when we come up to midterms and other things. Don't forget what they've done to our country.
I'm sure you will remind us of that. The president also says he now wants a filibuster done away with so this doesn't happen again.
I also want to call for a termination to the filibuster so that this can never happen again. If we had the filibuster terminated, this would never happen again.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get that. But President Trump had harsh words for Obamacare.
Obamacare was a disaster from day one. It's done nothing but go up. And if you remember President Barack Hussein Obama, when he came up with this crazy idea, he said everything's going to be great, rates are going to go down, payments are going to go down, everything's going to go down. It went the exact opposite.
And the president's saying now that the government's back open, he can continue to make promises or follow through on promises he made to Americans.
The federal government will now resume normal operations, and my administration and our partners in Congress will continue our work to lower the cost of living, restore public safety, grow our economy, and make America affordable again.
So the good news is this 43-day-old blame game, it is essentially over. Democrats, of course, blaming Republicans. Republicans blaming Democrats for the prolonged standoff.
They admitted that they were using the American people as leverage in this political game. They knew that it would cause pain, and they did it anyway. The whole exercise was pointless. It was wrong, and it was cruel.
That's how Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat, says the bill doesn't help Americans who are struggling with the high cost of health care.
The longest shutdown in American history would rather do that than provide health care that's affordable to working class Americans, middle class Americans, and hardworking American taxpayers.
So what do everyday Americans think about this shutdown? Put the microphone in Midtown Manhattan, ask New Yorkers, many of them not impressed with the outcome.
Do this for what? For nothing, because the Democrats didn't get anything in return. So it's basically the people who suffered is pretty much the federal workers.
If they're going to go and shut down the government, they should have went longer to get something better for the people. You know, too many people suffered for nothing.
It's very telling, right?
New Yorkers have seen the impacts of the federal government shutdown firsthand.
Yeah, I'm a teacher, so I often hear my students talking about EBT and not being able to buy groceries and not being able to eat. So that's been a major topic of discussion for the past 2 weeks or so.
Just the fact that my sister can't get money to feed her kids, so that's a big issue. Every week she needs more money, so I have to supply for that.
And flight issues did ease a bit compared to the past few days yesterday, but there's still going to be delays through probably the end of the week as air traffic controllers get back to work. They get their back pay. They haven't been paid in more than 40 days. And flyers, well, they've lost their patience.
I'm nervous, yeah. I don't want to get stranded here all day.
Yeah, I don't blame you. As of last check, over 1,000 flights yesterday were delayed, over 800 canceled, and the thought is the numbers will be likely the same. So that's less than the weekend, but still a lot of people who've had plans squashed. Maybe they're going to big family events that maybe they can't get there.
We were flying last month, right as they closed, and man, these people, they were upset and they are not getting paid, and that's a big problem. And so they were slow.
And then what we were hearing from some air traffic controllers is they live paycheck to paycheck, and if you don't get one, it's hard to just do things like fill up your gas tank, fill up the refrigerator. Some of them got jobs at like Amazon in between, hoping to make up for money they weren't making from the federal government. So that's part of why you were seeing these big delays and will continue to until they get their back pay.
I don't see travel going from 0 to 100 overnight. I think it is going to take a few days or weeks.
Yeah, and as that was going on, Arizona Congresswoman Adelita Gravala was finally sworn in. She had won this special election, but Republicans had been refusing to swear her in because they were saying essentially the House was shut down due to the government shutdown.
This is an abuse of power. One individual should not be able to unilaterally obstruct the swearing in of a duly elected member of Congress for political reasons.
House Speaker Mike Johnson administered the oath to the Democrat yesterday. The special election was in September, but Johnson did not swear her in due to the House not being in session. Arizona's Attorney General and Gravala sued Johnson over him refusing to swear her in, so now she's officially a congresswoman.
It has been 50 days since the people of Arizona's 7th Congressional District elected me to represent them. 50 days that over 800,000 Arizonans have been left without access to the basic services that every constituent deserves.
Now she's officially a congresswoman. 5:08, the White House is being pushed on the emails from Jeffrey Epstein that mention President Trump. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt asked about an Epstein email that said Trump spent hours at Epstein's house with a female victim.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong.
Now, Leavitt would not address the email substance, and again, she said the victim in the email was the late Virginia Giuffre, who Leavitt said already stated that the president, well, he wasn't president there, was not involved in any wrongdoing.
And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her. Now they're talking about it all of a sudden because President Trump is in the Oval Office. But when Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump.
Speaker of the House, Micah Johnson, says a bill compelling the DOJ to release all of its Jeffrey Epstein case files will receive a vote on the House floor likely next week.
With the discharge petition now reaching the 218 signatures needed, Johnson is required to put the bill on the floor soon, although he suggested he would not use some of the extra time that he was allowed. Democrat Congresswoman Adelita Gravala became the 218th signature on the discharge petition shortly after she was sworn in Wednesday afternoon. This follows reports that Epstein referenced Trump in emails to his associate Ghislaine Maxwell, as well as a journalist, claiming in one that Trump knew about the girls. I'm Mark Mayfield.
WABC News Time 510. Let's bring it back home. A new poll shows a tight race for governor in New York next year.
Incumbent Kathy Hochul appears to hold a slight lead in the polls over Congresswoman Elise Stefanik in the race for New York governor. The independent market research firm JL Partners surveyed 500 likely New York voters and found that Hochul leads Stefanik 46% to 43% in a hypothetical matchup, with 11% undecided. Stefanik must win the GOP primary, which the poll shows her far ahead of Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman. I'm Lisa Ritchie for 77 WABC News.
And while we're talking politics, it turns out tens of thousands of people want to go work for Mayor-elect Mamdani.
Because I'm working for a living. Since he was elected last week, Mamdani says 50,000 people have applied to join his team. Of course, it is an online application, not like you need to put pen to paper or buy any stamps these days. Mamdani claims the sheer number of applicants speaks to the excitement at the heart of his movement. His transition team indicates they will accept all backgrounds and experience levels as people look to build their careers, all with the goal of delivering on the affordability agenda. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 511. We've been telling you for the last couple of weeks that retail giant Amazon is beginning to cut a lot of white-collar jobs, and now it's affecting some of the jobs right here in New York City.
State Labor Department data shows Amazon cut 660 city jobs for good last month. The cuts impacted 9 different Amazon offices in Manhattan, including at the Manhattan West site and the company's New York tech hub inside the old Lord & Taylor building. The company didn't comment on these cuts, but Amazon is shedding workers for AI replacements. Reports say Amazon wants to give 500,000 jobs, nearly half its U.S. workforce, to AI replacements by 2027. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
That's really frightening when you hear that, right? AI just replacing that many jobs at Amazon. 512. Let's go down to Louisville, Kentucky. Police identifying the 14 victims of that UPS plane crash there. Jefferson County Coroner Joanne Farmer reading the names of the victims at a press conference yesterday.
They were identified by DNA, some by DNA and dental records, some by DNA and medical records, but all of them were positively identified by the DNA.
It took a while. They include the crew of Flight 2976, a man and his granddaughter, and employees of businesses that were destroyed in the crash and the explosion after the plane hit the ground. They range in age from just 3 years old to 65. Mayor Craig Greenberg says they're confident there are no other victims of the crash at this time.
I think there's almost a sense of relief that now we feel like we have all of them, and a sense of relief at this point now.
Each of these victims represents a life full of purpose, interrupted far too soon, and also a life that will never fade, because we will always remember them.
Now the FAA and TSB will try to figure out why that plane crashed right after takeoff. 513, the White House says they're preparing announcements now on affordability. That according to the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
You're going to see some substantial announcements over the next couple of days in terms of things we don't grow here in the United States. Coffee being one of them, bananas, other fruits.
So Besson would not provide details on how prices would be lowered. The White House has argued it is working to address affordability concerns. Lots of concerns about the price of just goods, inflationary, and things like buying a house. It's become unaffordable for a fair amount of Americans.
We inherited this affordability mess. It was the worst inflation 40, 50 years, one of the worst in the nation's history.
Secretary Besson asserting that Americans are going to start feeling better early next year after predicting inflation will cool and wages will increase. 514, the FBI director says he's working with China now to eliminate the ingredients used to make fentanyl. Kash Patel confirming his reported trip to China recently, where Patel says he secured this agreement with the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping, to stop shipping the ingredients to Mexico for production.
Effective immediately, essentially, President Trump has shut off the pipeline that creates fentanyl that kills tens of thousands of Americans.
Yeah, this is a huge agreement. Patel calling it historic. I think it is.
These substances are now banned. and they will no longer be utilized by the Mexican drug trafficking organizations or any other DTOs around the world to make this drug. This historic achievement has saved tens of thousands of lives.
And if you can cut up that pipeline, that's huge. In a moment, though, the drugs are still coming across the Mexican border, and they're coming in these tunnels that they keep finding between Mexico and the U.S. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Good morning to you, Noam Aladen. We'll start here at the Garden. Knicks got handed their first home loss of the season, falling 124-107 to the visiting Orlando Magic. Jalen Brunson scored 31 points, but turned his right ankle on a drive to the basket with under 2 minutes remaining. Coach Mike Brown had no further update after the game. Karl Anthony Towns had 15 and 12 for his NBA-leading 10th double-double for the Knicks, who were 7-0 at Madison Square Garden and had won 5 straight overall. Knicks averaged 130.2 points over their 5-game winning streak. They scored just 42 first-half points last night, shooting 35% from the field and making just 1 of 10 three-pointers in the second quarter. Up next for the Knicks, they'll host the Miami Heat tomorrow to the ice in Tampa. Will Cooley and Vincent Trocheck each had 2 goals, and the Rangers beat the Lightning 7-3 for their second straight win. JT Miller, Alexis Lafreniere, and Will Borgen also scored for the Rangers, and Artemi Panarin had 4 assists. Igor Shesterkin finished with 31 saves as New York improved to 8-1-1 on the road. The Rangers, coming off a 6-3 win against Nashville on Monday night for their first home win, finished with their highest scoring total of the season. Up next for them, they'll play at Columbus come Saturday. In Chicago, defenseman Shimon Nemitz scored his 3rd goal of the game, just over 3 minutes of the overtime, in the overtime period, I should say, to lift the Devils to a 4-3 win over the Blackhawks. Dawson Mercer also scored, and Jack Hughes had 2 assists for the Eastern Conference leading Devs, 3-0-1 in their last 4. Jacob Markstrom stopped 17 shots. Devils extended their winning streak against the Blackhawks to 7 games to boot. Up next for Jersey, they'll be at Washington come Saturday. Tonight on the ice, the Islanders back in action. They're out in Vegas against the Golden Knights, so that's a later puck drop at 10 p.m. And MLB Awards Week update here. Detroit's Tariq Skubal won his 2nd consecutive AL Cy Young Award, and Paul Skeens, the second-year right-hander for the Pittsburgh Pirates, followed up his Rookie of the Year season by winning his first National League Cy Young Award, getting all 30 first-place votes in voting conducted by the Baseball Writers Association of America. Most Valuable Player Award winners will be announced tonight at 7 p.m. on MLB Network. Obviously, locally here, we've got our eyes on Captain Aaron Judge. He is a finalist in the AL, along with the Guardians' Jose Ramirez and the Mariners' Cal Raleigh. And finalists in the NL are Shohei Ohtani out of LA, Juan Soto from New York, and Kyle Schwarber from the Phillies. And they're finalists for the NL. Find out those details tonight at 7 p.m. And it is Thursday.
Why did they wait so long
to give out these awards?
Like the baseball season ended like 3 weeks ago.
Suspense, Noam Layden. They got to stay in the news at some point in the middle of November.
I guess.
Yeah, right. Of course. And, they put on these big productions, but, you can't get MLB Network anywhere now because they didn't work out a deal with YouTube TV, and everybody watches TV on YouTube TV now, so you can't watch MLB Network. You got to download the thing individually and then watch it. I mean,
You should have heard my wife. She couldn't watch the Golden Bachelor finale last night.
How about me? I had to buy ESPN, like unlimited, for $35 just to watch the Eagles on Monday Night Football.
That's crazy. I just would have gone to a bar or something to watch the game. No? You didn't think of that.
I didn't think of that. That usually doesn't enter my brain on Monday night games.
I can loan you that $35 till the next paycheck comes.
It's all right. I just had to set a reminder on my phone in 20 days to cancel it.
Yeah.
So before it renews.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Anyway, speaking of football, you got Thursday Night Football tonight, Week 11 in the NFL getting underway. 8:15 p.m. kickoff as always. You get your 2-7 New York Jets at the 8-2 New England Patriots. Patriots, they're 13.5-point home
And that's
favorites.
Amazon, right? The Thursday night games?
Yes, sir.
Amazon?
Yeah,
you have Amazon?
I do have Amazon.
I was going to give you my password.
No, I use my parents. Okay. It's okay. Thank you. Thanks, Melvin. That's your sports now. And I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:20. Traffic, transit. I bet somebody's still on your payroll over there, Joe, using your Amazon.
They all use the passwords, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's but I have cable here. I have.
Wow, you're old school.
I don't have these issues.
Yeah. Wait, are your kids still on your cell phone plan?
One is, yeah.
Yeah, see, what is that? You can never get them off, can you?
Very, very, very soon.
But it doesn't. The thing is, it doesn't really cost you a whole lot more, because once you do 2 people, you might as well do 4 or 5, right?
No.
Oh, it doesn't work that way? Because mine is like, once I have 2, I can put on another 3 or 4, and it doesn't cost me anything.
27 years old, he should be able to get his own cell phone.
Right. Well, good luck with that. WABC News Time 521. Drug smugglers are using tunnels with more frequency to get their illicit products in from Mexico. The Texas Land Commissioner ordering a survey now of borderlands as a way to sniff out possible trade routes before they can be used, but they know they're out there. They just can't find them all.
We're going to do everything we can, take advantage of some new technology to find these tunnels and shut them down.
The problem is their technology with the drug dealers sometimes better than the stuff we have. They're using drone technology to try to find and spot entrances to these tunnels on the Mexican side.
It goes to seismic, so you can kind of see the tunnels better, because, of course, you obviously can't just see them from the air.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where they run. It doesn't matter where they hide. It doesn't matter what crevice they fall into. We're going to find them, root them out, and stop them.
Yeah, she says within the past year, cartel tunnels have been discovered all over San Diego and in El Paso as well. 522, California Governor Gavin Newsom downplaying reports that the White House plans to open up new drilling off the coast of California.
It's dead on arrival.
Newsom says the president's playing politics. He also says if he were serious, there would be plans for drilling near Mar-a-Lago. During his first term, the president issued a moratorium on drilling off the coast of Florida until the year 2032.
Overwhelmingly opposed by members of all political parties in the state of California. He didn't promote it in his backyard at Mar-a-Lago. He didn't promote it off the coast of Florida. That says everything.
523, a new Apple feature will allow users to carry their passports on their phones.
The tech company says that digital ID for iPhones and Apple Watches is being rolled out at TSA checkpoints at over 250 airports across the U.S. for traveling within the country. It adds, however, that digital ID does not replace a physical passport and is not currently supported for international travel or crossing borders. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Well, what good does that do us? How about the driver's license and our car insurance? You should be able to put that all on your phone, too. The idea you got to carry that stuff around is sort of nonsense in this day and age. A Blue Origin rocket that was supposed to launch yesterday on a mission to Mars being delayed due to bad weather in space.
The sun is erupting with coronal mass ejections, which have created incredible northern lights across much of the U.S., but now causing a delay in the launch of a Blue Origin rocket called New Glenn. The company says the rocket is fine, but there are concerns that magnetic solar emissions could damage equipment on 2 satellites bound for Mars. It's the second weather delay for this new kind of rocket that's only launched once before. More conventional clouds and showers scrubbed Sunday's launch attempt from Cape Canaveral. I'm Rory O'Neill.
524, a new report says there's a young home buyer crisis across the country. Real estate broker Pete Zaitlev says the vast majority of young Americans can't buy a home without a lot of help.
And if they're not subsidized by their families or parents and able to, contribute to buying a home, you forget about it.
And this disturbing stat from the National Association of Realtors says the typical age of first-time buyers has now climbed to 40 years old. The report also says the number of first-time home buyers dropped to a record low of 21% in 2025.
Unless you're super, super diligent at 21, which basically nobody is, putting away money and having that as a nest egg, then you're not going to be able to buy a home until your 40s or even maybe beyond that.
Yeah, on top of that, there's a Caldwell Banker report that says 84% of Gen Z say they're putting off major life milestones like getting married and having children just to be able to afford to buy a home. Skyrocketing home prices, high mortgage rates are also to blame. The crisis has actually prompted the White House to propose a new 50-year mortgage. We'll have to see if that catches on. It is the end of an era for pennies, which have been in use since the 1790s.
President Donald Trump
Trump previously announced plans to retire the coin in February, citing production cost as a primary reason, and now the U.S. Mint is set to strike its final penny for circulation. According to the Treasury Department, the penny will remain legal tender and retain its value indefinitely, as there are approximately 300 billion pennies still in circulation, which exceeds the amount needed for commerce. I'm Wendy Swanson.
A well-known billionaire making a huge donation to a North Carolina HBCU.
Mackenzie Scott, ex-wife of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, has given a gift of $50 million to Winston-Salem State University. School Chancellor Bonita Brown tells Fox 8 Scott's gift of $30 million in 2020 fundamentally changed how the school operated and impacted the lives of students from then forward. Adding this gift will further develop the quality of education and the tuition options for students. The gift is part of Scott's 2019 pledge to donate half of her fortune to charity. Scott Kimmler.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour. Talking the news with Noam Laden. All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now, Talking the News with Noam on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, November 13th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today, high 51. Tonight and overnight, clear, low 39, and then Friday, mostly cloudy, high 50. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 40 clear in Muncie up in Rockland County, 45 and clear in Asbury Park over in New Jersey, and it's 42 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:39. Mayor-elect Mamdani and NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch apparently do now have a meeting on the books as questions have mounted as to why the two have not spoken, apparently in months, despite the fact that Mamdani made it clear that he wanted Tisch to stay on if he won the mayor's race, which of course he did. Mamdani's transition team says the meeting is scheduled soon. They did not give us a date, and that teams for the commissioner and the mayor-elect have been in contact. Mamdani and Tisch have expressed opposing views on policies, including bail reform, but the mayor-elect says he thinks they can work it out, and so she can stay on.
I continue to be confident in the decision I've made to retain her, and I look forward to the conversation that we have. And the reason for my confidence is that I see, amidst whatever disagreement there may be, there is a common shared goal of delivering on public safety.
Now, Tisch was named police commissioner. It was about a year ago on the urging of Governor Hochul, as Mayor Adams and the NYPD were dealing with those corruption allegations. And people close to Tisch say this is a dream job for her, which would suggest she does not want to leave it if she can work out a deal with Mayor Mamdani. And while we're talking about the transition, Mayor Adams talking about it as well yesterday, handing off the baton, as he called it, to the mayor-elect. Adams says his deputy mayors and commissioners have been drafting documents of City Hall programs for Mamdani's transition team to look at. And he says he knows some of them they'll sign off on and others they won't. But he wants them to know exactly what he's accomplished and what he'd like to see continue.
Once I hand off that baton, it's a wrap. I did my mile. I'm not here to critique the next mile that's been run. We're going to turn over a good document for the mayor and his team, incoming mayor-elect, and his team to sit down and look at it and say, this is something we want to continue. This is something that we don't want to continue. That's up to them to do that.
And after the announcement, the mayor had some unsolicited advice for Mamdani. He said that he can't run the city like a socialist. He's got to run it like a capitalist. And then he said he needed us to focus on the hosting of next year's FIFA Cup, the World Cup, instead of antagonizing FIFA for high ticket prices, which Mamdani did during the campaign. He says there's so much money to be made from the World Cup, from fans who will be here to see the games, to fans who will want to take part in the FIFA World Cup experience and don't have tickets to the game. He says don't squash that. There's so much money to be made. 541. This is just an odd story out of Long Island. I'm not sure what to make of it. The Working Families Party candidate in the race for Huntington Town Supervisor on Long Island causing controversy more than a week after the election. Some are questioning how and why a one person ended up on the ballot, and this woman did not seem to know she was on the ballot. So the Democrat in the race was Cooper Macko. He lost to the GOP incumbent Ed Smith by about 600 votes. And then there was a third candidate on the ballot from the Working Party's family. Her name is Maria Delgado. Apparently, she didn't know she was on the ballot. She's an 83-year-old grandmother, no political background. Reporters showed up at her house yesterday to see if she knew anything about being on the ballot. Her family declined to make her available to reporters. So now everybody's trying to figure out exactly what took place. And Delgado, for sure, took votes away from the Democrat, maybe from the Republican, too.
One candidate, Maria Delgado, an 83...
This is the member, by the way, of the Working Families Party.
One candidate, Maria Delgado, an 83-year-old Spanish speaker who appeared on the ballot line, who successfully got votes on the Working Families Party line and siphoned votes away from the Democrats.
Okay, so how did she end up on the ballot? There are lots of calls for investigations. Democrats say those investigations have to happen soon. They didn't win the seat. Republicans say that they think the Democrats put her up on the Working Families Party without telling her.
If anybody's owed an apology here, it's Maria Delgado and the voters that supported her. The Democrats were rejected by a grassroots effort. This is what elections are about.
Now, she got 1,000 votes and she didn't know she was on the ballot. And apparently she doesn't even speak English that well. The Suffolk County Democratic chair, he's weighing in.
This deserves further investigation so that the public knows exactly what went on here, who knew what when.
The election happened. We can't obviously undo that. We don't know which way it would have gone if things were different. But I think we need to get answers, and I think we need to see what was really going on behind the scenes here.
It's so odd. In fact, a Long Island Democratic Party leader alleges that a Delgado family member was promised a job with the town of Huntington to help get out the vote for the Working Families Party, and maybe that's how her name ended up on the ballot, but they'll get to the bottom of it at some point. 5:44, while we're out on Long Island, the sister of Christopher Millwater, the Selden resident who was discovered dead early Monday morning outside a yacht club, says that her brother was found a fair amount of time at the Stony Brook Yacht Club. It was a place he would go to for peace and tranquility. This sister speaking exclusively to News 12 yesterday.
He did a lot of fishing there. He did a lot of nighttime visits there, tranquility for him.
Yeah, so that's Connie Millwater. She said Christopher had recently beaten cancer. A few details about Millwater's death have been released by police, but they all calling it a murder. Police would only say that he was a victim of violence. The suspect's still on the loose. And in fact, as of yesterday, the police were asking anyone information to call police. His body again found outside the Stony Brook Yacht Club early on Monday morning. In a moment, we'll go to Iran, where a Long Islander is being held against his will this morning. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Allen.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. We'll start here at the Garden. The Knicks got handed their first home loss of the season, falling 124-107 to the visiting Orlando Magic. Jalen Brunson scored 31, but turned his right ankle on a drive to the basket with under 2 minutes remaining, and head coach Mike Brown had no further update after the game. Karl Anthony Towns had 15 and 12 for his NBA-leading 10th double-double for the Knicks, who were 7-0 at MSG and had won 5 straight overall. They averaged 130.2 points over their 5-game winning streak, but they scored just 42 first-half points last night, shooting 35% from the field and making just 1 of 10 three-pointers in the second quarter. Up next for the Knicks, they'll host the Miami Heat tomorrow. Head to the ice in Tampa. Will Cooley and Vincent Trocheck each had 2 goals, and the Rangers beat the Lightning 7-3 for their second straight win. Miller, Lafreniere, and Borgen also scored for the Rangers, and Panarin had 4 assists. Shesterkin finished with 31 saves as New York improved to 8-1-1 on the road. Rangers coming off a 6-3 win against Nashville on Monday night for their first home win, finished with their highest scoring total of the season. Up next for the Rangers, they'll play at Columbus come Saturday. In Chicago, defenseman Shimon Nemeth scored his 3rd goal of the game at the 3:28 mark of the overtime period to lift the Devils to a 4-3 win over the Blackhawks. Dawson Mercer also scored, and Jack Hughes had 2 assists assists for the Eastern Conference leading Devs, 3-0-1 in their last 4. And Markstrom stopped 17 shots in net. Devils extended their winning streak against the Blackhawks to 7 games as well. Up next for Jersey, they'll be at Washington come Saturday. Tonight on the ice, the Islanders back in action in Vegas against the Golden Knights. There's a later puck drop at 10 p.m., and it is MLB Awards Week. Detroit's Tariq Skubal won his second consecutive AL Cy Young Award, and Paul Skeens, a second-year right-hander for the Pittsburgh Pirates, followed up his Rookie of the Year season by winning his first National League Cy Young Award, getting all 31st-place votes and voting conducted by the BWAA. Most Valuable Player Award winners will be announced tonight at 7 p.m. on MLB Network. That's Jose Ramirez from Cleveland, Aaron Judge, of course, from our Yanks, and Cal Raleigh for the Mariners in the AL, and in the NL, it's going to be between Ohtani out in LA, of course, Juan Soto from our Mets, and Kyle Schwarber from the Phillies. And it is Thursday, which means it is the start of Week 11 in the NFL. 8:15 p.m. kickoff tonight, as is always the case. 2-7 Jets are at the 8-2 Patriots. New England, there, 13.5-point home favorites. That is your Sports Now, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:49. A 70-year-old man from Long Island has been detained against his will in Iran for months now. So Kamran Hamaki had gone back to Iran to visit a sick relative. He traveled on his American passport, and when he was getting ready to leave the country, they looked at his passport and they saw that he had been in Israel. The stamp was in his passport. He had been in Israel 13 years ago, and Iran had passed a law recently that bans citizens from visiting Israel. So now they're keeping him there. And here's Congressman Tom Suozzi, who's trying to negotiate some sort of deal to have Cameron freed from Iran.
Of course, very upsetting that a constituent of mine, a U.S. citizen, would travel to Iran and get arrested under some crazy law that is now putting his life in danger.
Suozzi has sent a letter to Secretary of State Marco Rubio requesting immediate diplomatic engagement to secure Hekmati's release. Some in the Persian Jewish community say he probably should have never gone to Iran in the first place because Jews are just not welcome there.
I feel like he shouldn't have gone there in the first place. Being Jewish, you shouldn't travel there. He took the risk. It's so sad. I wish we could help him.
The strangest part about the story is Hekmati has made numerous trips to Iran since he had made that trip to Israel and had never been stopped before. But this time he has, and now they're trying to work out a deal to get him freed and sent back on a plane back to the U.S. But of course, our relations with Iran are not so great right now.
Anti-Semitism is very real, and this hate for Israel, especially from Iran, is a very real thing.
As a neighbor, as a resident, just a really nice guy with 4 children, lovely wife, a pillar of the community.
And the Hekmati family very concerned because he suffers from bladder cancer, and they say no doubt he's probably not getting the treatment he needs while he's being held against his will in Iran today. 5:51 over to New Jersey. Legislation advancing in Trenton that would address New Jersey's abandoned mines following all the problems this year on Interstate 80.
Well, I've been working in a coal mine, going down, working in a coal mine,
Interstate 80 finally reopened this summer after an abandoned mine underneath the highway near Wharton led to sinkhole issues and massive traffic disruptions. The bill would establish an abandoned mine reclamation program aiming to identify the most serious risks, reclaim abandoned mines safely, and protect roads and communities from future emergencies. The bill would direct the DOT to develop a statewide plan for the reclamation of those abandoned mines. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 5:52. Just a devastatingly sad court case has begun in the Hudson Valley. You might remember this story. It made national headlines. 13-year-old boy indicted for murder in the death of an 11-year-old boy. The teen pleading not guilty during what was an emotional arraignment in Orange County Court yesterday. Relatives of the young victim, Matthew DeGroat, they filled the gallery yesterday wearing T-shirts in his memory as the alleged gunman who was handcuffed and shackled, this 13-year-old, was was brought inside the courtroom. Across the aisle, the teen suspect's mother, she cried out to him, telling her son to hold his head up. The fatal shooting happened inside Matthew's North Miller Street home. This was October 9th. The child had recently moved to Newburgh from Middletown after the death of his father. And they were playing with a gun, and the gun went off, and it shot and killed this 11-year-old. So here's an attorney for the victim.
Honor Matthew's life, and the family will be here every step of the way. They look forward to the day in court where justice is served for Matthew.
In court, prosecutors also detailed what they described as a troubled and unstable life for the teenage suspect. They say he'd been living in a hotel, missing a lot of school, had recently attempted to harm himself during a mental health crisis. They also revealed he was involved in an earlier shooting in Newburgh where he and his friends were shot at.
We look forward to uncovering the truth about what happened here and proving my client's innocence of the murder of his friend.
Yeah, so the 13-year-old suspect due back in court on December 3rd. 554, there is a push in New York now to install technology in the cars of repeat speeders to slow them down. State Senator Andrew Gennardis is sponsoring this bill that's called the Stop Super Speeders Act, which will require the temporary installation of this intelligent speed assistant technology into cars of drivers who accumulate 11 or more points on their license for speeding. So basically what this technology does is it detects what the speed limit is in the area that they're driving in, and they can't go faster than that. And so they're trying to push this through. It got through the Senate, has not gone through the Assembly.
We estimate that it'll probably be somewhere between 3,000 or 4,000 vehicles initially that would be subject to this law. But they are also the worst of the vehicles on our streets right now. Honing in on this tiny minority of highly dangerous drivers makes the road so much safer for all of us.
Yeah, so Gennardis says the offender would be responsible for the cost of the device, which would be about $1,000. Yesterday, New York City marking the 24th anniversary of a plane crash in Queens. Names of the 260 who were killed on board American Airlines Flight 587 were read out loud during a remembrance ceremony.
Luis Morales Sr., Maria Vargas.
No doubt you remember this crash. It was just, about 2 months after the 9/11 attacks, and lots of people thought, here we go again. It ended up that it was pilot error that brought this plane down. The flight crashed into a neighborhood in Bell Harbor shortly after takeoff in 2001. The crash was ruled pilot error. Mayor Adams offering his condolence to family members. He attended this event yesterday.
24 years later, the pain does not dissipate. It does not go away. The impact to the entire city, the Bell Harbor community.
Yeah, he's right about that. Multiple women have been posting on Reddit that a man in Brooklyn has been spitting on them. And so this one woman who went on to Reddit to report it says she wasn't sure anybody else would know what she was talking about. But she said the minute she posted this, all of a sudden other people posted they too had been spit on.
I just see a figure taller than me spit on me. And it took me about 2 seconds to realize what was happening. I was in so much shock. After it happened, then I saw that people were posting about it. I immediately felt more seen.
Yeah, so she warned people in this neighborhood between Bedford Avenue and Grand Street to watch out for this guy. She actually even chased the guy after he spit on her.
And he immediately pulled out a knife out of his pocket with the blade wide open. And he just screamed at me, stop stalking me, stop stalking me.
Yeah, okay, so the good news is the moment we came to air this morning, I got an email from the NYPD. They picked up this guy. They had seen these Reddit posts. Not even clear that people had come to the police department. They saw these Reddit posts. They saw the pictures. And this guy has been arrested this morning. When the charges come in, we'll pass them on to you.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.